Good morning and thank you for joining us on the Fox Connecticut Morning News. Happy 4th of July. I'm Lauren Victory. New this morning, police say a person who confessed to a fatal hit-and-run crash in Enfield more than 10 years ago won't be charged because the statute of limitations has expired. Police are crediting surveillance footage for an arrest in the killing of a 14-year-old boy on Christmas Eve. Breaking news out of the city of Bridgeport, where officials are getting reports that there was an infant death in an overnight fire. A family's pain still evident 27 years after their young daughter vanished and was then found dead. The officer's injuries are not life-threatening. Meanwhile, that shooting in New York City comes a day after a Philadelphia police officer was ambushed by a suspect and shot 3 times. All right, I've invaded the weather center and now I'm being bossy, demanding a grill cast
She
from
wants
Dan.
the grill cast.
I want the grill cast.
Yeah.
Did you know the tradition of the Christmas tree has roots right here in Connecticut? Photojournalist Mike Townsend brings us the details in this week's Hidden History. Thank you for joining us. I'm Lauren Victory, besides Fox Connecticut meteorologist Dan Amaranti, and he's smiling because he's got a lot of good news today.
I love it.
Welcome back. It's a museum dedicated to time and a bygone American industry. Is this like old school meteorology because you're doing it on a piece of paper?
Yeah.
Still no answers this morning, 6 weeks after the death of an Ellington mother. There's a good chance we've all owned, held, played with, or tasted, maybe all of those, one of Connecticut's contributions to the candy world. You're gonna have to get out there early. Yesterday we didn't even have that great of weather, and I'm reading that places like Squan's Pond State Park was at capacity by 9:30 in the morning yesterday. We have some visitors this morning. They're from Quinnipiac. They are master's journalism students that came to see the pros in action. Right, guys? We start with some developing news from overnight. Police and fire crews responded to a structure fire on Oakland Terrace in Hartford. The fire has since been knocked down, but as you can see, the house is boarded up. Details are limited at this hour. No word yet if anyone's been displaced or hurt. Crews were on scene of another house fire in Hartford this morning, this one on Oxford Street. As you can see, the house was severely damaged by flames, though crews were able to contain the fire and have since cleared the scene. No word yet if families have been displaced or hurt. The cause of both Hartford fires still under investigation at this time, but stay with Fox 61 News for the latest on air and online. We're following a developing story out of Mexico, as Sam mentioned, where Hurricane Patricia made landfall late last night. Patricia is being called the strongest ever measured storm in the Western Hemisphere. A spokeswoman for Mexico's Meteorological Service says the storm hit between Puerto Vallarta and the Puerto of Manzillo. Over the last 24 hours, emergency teams have scrambled to evacuate thousands of people from homes and popular beach resorts. Hurricane Patricia has since downgraded to a Category 1 hurricane since making landfall. And Stanford-based AmeriCare says they are prepared to deploy a team to the devastated region. Emergency response experts say the Connecticut group is working with a local organization in Acapulco to monitor the hurricane situation. Relief supplies such as soap, toothpaste, and diapers are expected to be distributed to displaced families. Stay with us here on Fox 61 as we continue to update you on the destruction from Hurricane Patricia. We'll have the latest on air and online at fox61.com. You can also download our all-new weather app for the very latest when you're on the go. Happening today in downtown Hartford, the annual Thomas Hooker Day Parade is set to kick off, and you know what that means, several road closures in the capital city. Starting at 10 a.m., High Street will close between Asylum and Church, Allen Street will close from High and Annucello Streets, and Asylum between Annucello and High Streets will also be closed. The parade steps off at 1 o'clock and is expected to end in front of Black Eyed Sally's with an awards ceremony following. All this fun expected to wrap up by 5 o'clock. Plainfield police are investigating after they say 5 people overdosed on heroin in the past week. 1 man died. The 23-year-old's mother approached Fox 61 News because she wanted to share her heartbreak. She said her son had been nearly 90 days clean when he relapsed. Police, even Governor Dan Malloy, acknowledged that fighting the heroin epidemic is an uphill battle. The grieving mom says the drug is taking over Plainfield, known as the Quiet Corner.
I lived in Hartford and we moved out here to
Plainfield police say they've been looking into reports that several heroin batches entering town are laced with fentanyl. Hartford police say a teen shot in the head earlier this week has died. His murder marks the city's 28th homicide this year. Police say 19-year-old Ricardo Rivera was gunned down just after 10 o'clock Wednesday night on Cherry Street. Rivera was taken to St. Francis Hospital, where he died yesterday. Police are still investigating and asking anyone with information to give them a call. There is a candlelight vigil scheduled for 4 p.m. today where the incident happened. Fairfield Public Schools plan to resume classes Monday following an unscheduled and very scary early dismissal yesterday. All 17 schools in the town went on lockdown after someone called in threats to the police and to specific schools. Police say it started as a prank call about a shooting and hostage situation at a home, which soon led to various threats called into several schools. Even though it became clear that it was all a hoax, police from Fairfield and surrounding towns had to handle it as though it was a real threat.
individuals that cause this kind of disruption.
Fairfield schools postponed all Friday evening after-school activities, including sporting events. Now moving to Decision 2015, Bridgeport's mayoral race continues to captivate headlines with less than 2 weeks until Election Day. As of now, convicted felon and former Mayor Joe Ganim is leading in the polls, but that doesn't mean Governor Dan Malloy will endorse the Democrat.
I don't think that he's...
Malloy did say that Ganim deserves a second chance, but not necessarily an elected office. He also said Ganim hasn't even had his legal license reinstated. Well, Joe Ganim responded to the governor's comments yesterday saying, quote, "Should I have the honor to be elected and serve as mayor, I look forward to working with everyone for the betterment of the city." In the next month's election, Ganim will face off against Republican Enrique Torres as well as independent candidate Mary Jane Foster. New information about an alleged wine thief right here in the Nutmeg State. Police believe this man, 25-year-old Scott DeLuca of New York, has been going around swiping bottles of expensive wine. Back in August, DeLuca was caught on camera trying to swipe a bottle from the Gillette Ridge Wine and Liquor store in Bloomfield. He was confronted by a store employee but managed to get away. Earlier this week, police say DeLuca allegedly targeted a steakhouse in Groton. Simsbury High School juniors busted for selling pot on a field trip. The students were said to be hawking marijuana brownies on the school bus to Salem, Massachusetts when they were caught. The trip cut short. The kids involved in the sale and distribution have been identified. Now Simsbury police are investigating. The United States gained 100 new citizens yesterday out of Brantford. They came from 45 different countries, including Ireland and the Dominican Republic. Friends and family watched as the candidates were administered the oath of allegiance in a naturalization ceremony. One man had been waiting for this day for more than 2 decades.
When you look at what...
The location of yesterday's ceremony also had special historical significance. It was the first time that a naturalization ceremony was held in a Connecticut public school. Students at Brantford High prepared by learning about immigration. Last night, the North Haven Indians honored a former football standout tragically killed by a drunk driver more than a year ago. The high school football team honored John LaQuarrie at its home game last night. LaQuarrie was a 2012 North Haven High graduate and former linebacker on the team. Last summer, the 20-year-old died while jogging, struck by a 73-year-old drunk driver whose blood alcohol content was nearly twice the legal limit.
It was the pride and joy of us.
Many wore purple in LaQuarrie's honor. A raffle was held and other items were sold to help the John LaQuarrie Memorial Foundation. Money raised will be put towards community needs and scholarships for high school seniors. Today in Connecticut, dozens will lace up for the first Optimism Walk against Parkinson's disease. It's at Elizabeth Park this morning. Organizers say the event will raise funds for and support scientific research for the cause and cure of the devastating disease. It begins at 10 o'clock, is free and open to the public. Refreshments and raffles will also be offered to all participants. An estimated 10 million people worldwide have been diagnosed with Parkinson's. And in Middletown, hundreds are expected to gather for a walk aimed at raising awareness about domestic violence. It will be in honor of baby Aiden Moreno, who police say was thrown to his death from the Aragoni Bridge this summer. The walk to end silence will start at Harbor Park. Registration begins at 9.
Moustakas, Royals win the pennant.
A celebration of sorts for Royals fans as the team defeated the Toronto Blue Jays in Game 6 of the American League Championship Series. The Royals outscored the Jays 4-3 on their home turf. As you can see, teammates didn't waste any time popping the cork to celebrate. The American League champs will take on the New York Mets in the World Series. First pitch slated for 8 p.m. this Tuesday right here on Fox 61 News. Still ahead, new information into the latest surrounding the Navy's efforts to retrieve the data recorder from El Faro. Plus, we have continuing coverage of the impacts from Hurricane Patricia, what travelers are saying about delays in the region.